All right, welcome back to another episode of Two Plain Sports, episode 35. This time we will be covering the Sooners in the NFL. It's going to be a new weekly episode. We're just going to go through, talk about the games that are coming up in week 1 of the NFL this weekend, starting tomorrow or today when you guys are watching, September 9th. We're going to get the Cowboys, so CD Lamb is going to be on national TV, so make sure to tune in there. But before we get started, make sure that you're hitting that subscribe button, push the like, and make sure you're sharing the videos if you guys are enjoying what we're putting out, and leave a comment. We always want to hear what you guys think, good or bad. We obviously don't know everything, so just throw it out there and we'll try to respond to as many people as we can. So let's just jump into it. Like I said, today, or when you guys are watching this, September 9th, we have opening game, Bucks versus Cowboys. I believe it's in Tampa, so Tom Brady will get to and the Bucks will get to raise their banner in front of their fans. I believe they are at full capacity, and we'll get to see CeeDee Lamb for the first time in a long time with his starting quarterback Dak Prescott. Brandon, you want to kick it off and give us an idea of what you're expecting here?
Yeah, no, I think a lot of other people are expecting CeeDee Lamb to have that breakout year. If you look at last year, he had 935 yards. I think he averaged almost 13 yards of reception. Pretty darn good considering he played with three quarterbacks throughout the year. One of them was Ben DiNucci, and the other one was Andy Dalton there last year for a little. Yeah, so it was Dak Prescott, Andy Dalton, and Ben DiNucci. I'm sure I think there was another one too, but I don't know. He may have played with four quarterbacks last year, and some of them were very bad. So, and as much hate as Dak gets, because he hasn't won yet, he hasn't this or that. He puts up good numbers, and CD's going to benefit playing with Dak, and not only just having that stability with one quarterback the whole season. Hopefully Dak doesn't get hurt again, and it's just one quarterback, and CD and him can build some chemistry and rapport, and CD Lamb should have a huge season.
Yeah, and I agree 100% with that coming back. I don't think that shoulder injury that happened almost a month ago is affecting him anymore. I'm pretty sure he's been full go at practice for a couple weeks now, so we should see a almost fully healthy Cowboys team so that CD can thrive. I think the only big piece they're missing right now is their starting guard, Zach Martin. He is expected to not play due to COVID protocols. I don't know if he tested positive or just didn't abide by them. I'm not really sure. But yeah, they should have a good year. He should really pop off as their number one. I think most people are expecting it. For some reason, Amari Cooper just hasn't turned out to be what they expect him to be, and that's I think why they end up taking CeeDee Lamb in last year's draft, and it's obviously going to pay off for them in the long run. I mean, he is wearing number 88. They don't just let anyone throw on the 88 in Dallas. So yeah, he should have a great.
You're expected to be that guy. I mean,
yeah.
Michael Irvin's obviously a Hall of Famer. Des Bryant put together some damn good years for them, as much as I hate him. CD is following suit. It looks like. I mean, that rookie season he had was pretty darn good. All things
and like you said, all things considered, like this dude went through three quarterbacks. Their offense was pretty stagnant, and Zeke really didn't have a great year last year. I mean, it's not just a Sooners thing, and when you can't establish that running game, throwing the ball makes it really hard unless you're just throwing garbage time yards, which I think the Dallas Cowboys do often, but I'm not a big Cowboys fan. So
the Dallas Cowboys also have Neville Gallimore on the defensive side of the ball. He's a guy who made appearances in most of their games last year. I believe it was 14. Maybe even had one start. Had I think one sack or half a sack. About almost 30 tackles. But I mean, he's a DT. He's not Aaron Donald, but he's not somebody who's he's not bad. He'll make plays. He'll clog runs. He's impactful.
Yeah, it'll be interesting how they handle his contract because I think he was a mid-round pick. I want to say third, but I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, third sounds right. Maybe even second. I can't remember, but
yeah, but his contract will be up in the next year or two for negotiations. And like you said, I mean, he has been productive. He's not a bad player by any means. He's just not their starting DT. But that doesn't mean he can't grow to that role. I mean, he was a great player in college, and I think Jerry Jones took him for a reason. So they don't expect him just to be a scrub sitting on their bench.
He's a big athletic body too. He's not just like a big fat guy. Like he runs well. He moves well. He's athletic. I mean, he's definitely a good, if nothing else, when the other team's got first, second, third and goal, he's out there,
Yeah,
on those big, large sets, and he's impactful.
definitely. So let's move on to the Sunday slate of games. So I think the biggest one that a lot of us OU fans are going to be tuning into is Browns versus Chiefs. Obviously, Baker Mayfield is the highlight. Probably one of the best Sooners of all time. Hope we will be getting to see his Heisman statue. I believe it's this fall. Hopefully, it's been a couple years. I'm
We're
pretty
due.
sure. I'm pretty sure it got delayed from last year due to COVID. I think his presentation was expected to be last year, but obviously they postponed it. I haven't seen any headlines, and honestly, I haven't looked into it too much. But I'd expect it to be this fall. Oh, Norman's at full capacity for that stuff, so hopefully that comes soon. And then on the other side, we've got a new addition to the Chiefs in Orlando Brown in their recent draft of Creed Humphrey. So right before we went on, we wanted to check their depth chart just because I mean the Chiefs line has been pretty good over the last few years. Obviously, they know how to protect Patrick Mahomes, but as of now, Creed is listed as their starting center. Dude, Austin Blythe is questionable. We didn't dig into it too much, but if things stay the way they are over the next couple of days, we will get to see Creed start in his first NFL game. I mean, you want to start? What either side of the ball, really?
We're talking about Creed right now, so we can stick with it. There's not a lot of bad things you can say about Creed Humphrey. I mean, what he did in college is incredible. I'm not sure he gave up a sack in 4 years as the starter. He's just rock solid. He's a great run blocker, good pass, but great pass blocker. He's really the ideal center, I think, for most teams. I mean, if you'd be dumb if you don't want Creed Humphrey on your team. And whether if he does the start this week, that's awesome. If he doesn't, no big. I mean, Austin Blythe, if he is the starter, that guy they got from the Rams, also pretty darn good center. He's going to be temporary, and Creed's absolutely the long-term plan there. And I mean, Creed's a monster.
Yeah, that guy is definitely going to be in front of Patrick Mahomes and snapping the ball to him for hopefully the next 8 to 10 years, or as long as Pat stays a Chief. And then Orlando Brown will be playing left tackle, I believe. Obviously, there was a little bit of drama there between him and the team that drafted him and the Baltimore Ravens. He wanted to play left tackle. They already have a pretty good left tackle. So they wanted him to stick to right. Obviously, that was not okay with him because he likes the left side. Obviously, the left side gets paid a lot more because you are the blind side at that point. So he was thinking long term, probably financially, and just the spot he likes to play in. So I think he's an automatic starter there for the Chiefs. And then on the other side of the ball, Baker Mayfield. Like I said, probably one of the best Sooners of all time. I think for the most part, almost every single younger generation's favorite Sooner. The dude just has a whole bunch of confidence, cockiness, whatever you want to call it. He's going to make sure he's playing well, and when he's not playing well, he'll still get in your face. I mean, we saw at OU. He hasn't changed in Cleveland. Last year, he was very efficient. 3,500 yards, a little over 3,500 yards, 26 touchdowns, 8 picks, 165 yards on the ground and a rushing touchdown, 63% completion. I mean, what do you expect out of the Browns with Baker and his contract year?
We mentioned CeeDee Lamb and having to deal with 3 quarterbacks last year, which, I mean, that sucks. Baker Mayfield, what people forget is he's dealt with a new head coach every single year of his NFL career until this is the first year he's got the same guy, same system, 2 years consecutive. And obviously with Hugh Jackson, his rookie year, he set rookie of the year, 27 touchdowns, 14 picks, and that's coming into the season late. I believe he set a rookie passing touchdown record, in fact, with 27, and that's, again, coming into the season late. Now he's got an extra game. He's had a weird 3 seasons, obviously with dealing with 3 different head coaches, where rookie of the year, then his sophomore year kind of had a pretty bad slump. I think he threw 22 touchdowns, 21 picks. I mean, that's not winning football very much. And then obviously last year he was ridiculous with 26-8, led the Browns all the way to the divisional round. Browns fans, I'm not a Browns fan, but I'm with them on saying they got screwed in that divisional round game on that, that targeting play at the goal line where they ended up fumbling and the Chiefs got the ball. But yeah, just with finally some consistency, same system. He's obviously got all the weapons in the world. I think he's got the best offensive line in football, got the best running back duo in football. He has plenty of ammunition to continue to, build off that really good year last year, and I expect him to do it.
Yeah. I mean, as a Vikings fan, watching Kevin Stefanski as our offensive coordinator, that's probably the last time our offense was just really good and effective. Over the and Baker's got a good one as his head coach and play caller, and probably a guy that he really has to connect with when they're setting up the game plan. I think Baker this year, I mean, it is his contract year. I don't think the Browns are just not going to pay him. I think this year is going to be how much should we pay you? Like, can you be our franchise quarterback over the next 10, 15 years?
The
Or
Browns
we
would be
just
the
are,
dumbest franchise in the planet if they don't re-sign him. And I mean,
I,
I say that obviously a little bit biased because I am a diehard Sooner, but at the same time, Baker took an 0-16 franchise when he was drafted, and now they're on the cusp of going pretty deep in the AFC playoffs.
yeah, I don't know if you saw this, Brandon, earlier. I believe it was earlier today, if not earlier this week. Sam Acho, he was on Speak for Yourself on FS1, and he called Baker Mayfield the most underrated quarterback in the NFL. I don't know if I agree with that completely, but he's definitely not given the respect that he deserves. I mean, like you said, he took an 0-16 team, and then in the previous two seasons, they were 1-31 overall. Like, this team was awful. There was no good coming out of that team. He gets drafted number one overall, really out of nowhere. Up until the draft day, everyone thought Sam Darnold, Sam Darnold, Sam Darnold. No way it's not Sam Darnold. Maybe Josh Allen a little bit, but it was like a guaranteed Sam Darnold going to Cleveland, and Baker was going to drop because of the personality issues, whatever the media wanted to put out there.
Undraftable.
Yeah, undraftable, whatever. You could probably go back on YouTube and find all these things about what Baker wasn't, but Cleveland believed in him. I think it was John Dorsey drafted him. And ever since he started, like you said, that culture just completely turned around. Obviously, they spent a little bit of money in getting better weapons, but the defense has gotten better over the last few years. And I mean, if you want to attribute it to Baker being there or not, I mean, his leadership has helped that team be from just drafting top 5 overall almost every year to now. I think this year they have a pretty good chance of knocking off a team like the Chiefs once they get to the playoffs. This week 1 matchup, I think, is really going to be a kind of a preview to playoff time. Like last year, like you said, they almost knocked out the Chiefs. Who says they can't do it now? I mean, they got Odell back, second year in the system. Why not?
I definitely agree. I mean, yeah, that Browns team it's pretty stacked. Baker's a winner. There's no reason they can't. I mean, no reason, honestly.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch that. I'm in Arizona, and we're about to get sports gambling available tomorrow, so I'm definitely going to throw some money down on the Browns line there because I think they're plus 5.5. So I think they win the game. I honestly believe that the Chiefs line is a little newer as a unit, and the Browns line is a little bit more cohesive. Again, second year in the offense, so it'll be a fun one to watch. So make
not
sure
out of the realm possibility for Baker next year or this year, I guess, to be a 4,000-yard passer with that extra game. Not out of the realm.
100%.
Back all the way. Yeah.
Hopefully, an MVP candidate.
Yeah.
Just want to throw it out there. I mean, when you're a winning team and you're having those kind of stats, why not get your name in that MVP? Get an MVP before Russell Wilson.
Why not?
All right. So the next game, we've got Cardinals at Titans. I can't recall a Titan or an OU player on the Titans off the top of my head, but obviously Kyler Murray, starting quarterback for the Cardinals.
It's another Heisman statue we're owed. Hopefully it happens this year, maybe next. Who knows? Again, that stuff I have no idea about. Sorry, but yeah, Kyler's last year, his numbers were insane. Stupid.
He had 3,900, almost 4,000 yards, 3,971 yards, 26 passing touchdowns on 67% completion. This guy just was throwing balls right where he needed to be. Then on his feet, he was making plays too. 800 rushing yards and 11 touchdowns. That was year 2. So this guy's only, again, there's no reason to not expect him to get better. I'll kick it over to you, Brandon. What do you think? Is this guy going to be the first MVP between him and Baker?
He's probably the most talented Sooner in the NFL as far as overall. I mean, that's almost 70% completion clip is That's bananas. Especially, I mean, playing at the highest level of football and you're completing almost 70% of your passes. That's pretty darn good. And then, like you said, 819 yards on the ground. I think he averaged almost 6 yards of carry on the ground too. So it's not like he took off, a bunch of times and got 2 yards of carry to rack up this 819. He's getting 6 or 7 on the ground. Like he's smart about when he runs, and usually there's a pretty big lane and he's pretty damn fast. So if he's, he can beat you in a lot of ways. And kind of we talked about Baker's offense, where Kyler's offense is not, in my opinion, even on the same playing field overall. Kyler Murray does have arguably the best receiver in the NFL on his team, which absolutely helps. They also added AJ Green this year, which I don't know how much he has left in the tank, but at the same time, I don't think he's a slouch, which will help him absolutely. And yeah, I mean, there's if the Cardinals can get over this 8-8, 9-7, which obviously now it's going to be 9-8 or whatever, 10-7 range. If they can get out of that and start, getting to the playoffs, maybe you get a playoff win, and Kyler puts those numbers up, I think he'll definitely be at least in the top 5 for that MVP race.
Oh, I agree 100%. And I mean, I don't know if you want to say it, but we talked about it before the show, and you threw it out there. He could be a guy that throws for 4,000 yards and rushes for 1,000. Like, with that extra game, it's very possible. He's just got to average his rushing yards a little bit.
With last season, he absolutely would have had 4,000 passing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he was 29 yards short, and I believe he missed a game or two in last. I can't. No,
he did have. I think
week 17. He missed something. He was not out there for something.
I think he did miss at least a half. I remember it was a shoulder injury or elbow, something in his arm, because and he was hurt because he did start running the ball a lot more towards the end of the season, because he was, the 67% completion. Like, this dude was making almost every throw happen. So because of the injury, he did have to start running a little bit more. So maybe the rushing numbers are a little skewed, but then the extra game, he's going to get 4,000 yards. Almost, it seems like it's almost a guarantee.
It's an extra game and a half. I mean, he at least missed half a game last season. Like we talked. 4,000 passing, 1,000 rushing is not out of the realm. He had 37 total touchdowns last year with 26 passing, 11 rushing. We can set the number at 40. I mean, if he goes out there and he does 4,000 in the air, 1,000 on the ground, is responsible for 40 total touchdowns, as long as he keeps that turnover number down and the Cardinals win, no reason he's not a top 5 in the MVP race.
Yeah. Hopefully he does it. He is in probably one of the hardest divisions in the NFL, given that he's also in the same division as the Rams, the Seahawks, and who's the fourth team?
Niners, who are
the 49ers. Yeah, who were riddled with injuries last year. So we'll see what they are. But hopefully Kyler can put it together. I think that they have a good chance of winning at Tennessee. It just kind of depends on how their new offense looks over there.
That should be a great game. I think Tennessee's pretty damn good too.
They are.
Both the Sooner quarterbacks could potentially be game of the week 1. Obviously, I think Browns Chiefs is everybody's. If you can find a better game week 1, I'd like to see it. But I think that's probably the best week 1 matchup. And then Cardinals and Titans. That's 2 teams who also have pretty high hopes for the season.
Yeah, the Titans are going to be an interesting team. They did have Arthur Smith, their offensive coordinator, is now the head coach for the Atlanta Falcons. So, I don't know how much different their offense is going to look. And they also added Julio Jones. They're still very talented. They're getting their left tackle and Taylor Lewan back. So when they had a 2,000-yard rusher last year, so why not get him to rush for another 1,700 this year and just pass a little bit more?
Yeah. He should have more help too with that addition of Julio. Maybe teams can't load the box up, quite as much, because there's a real threat out there on the outside now.
Yeah, there really is. All right, so let's get back to the Sooners. We got a couple more games to go here on Sunday. So we've got the Eagles. They got Lane Johnson back. He was out for most of the season last year, and then obviously their quarterback, first-year starter, in Jalen Hurts. I think Alabama still wants to claim him, but I don't think that if he didn't go to Oklahoma, he would not have been drafted in the second round, because people were just looking past him. Obviously, he's a great leader. So, and he was voted a captain. I believe it was today. It was announced the Eagles voted him a captain, And from what reports were put out, I mean, they voted him a captain because they all believe in him. He's the dude
He's a
in that
winner.
locker
I
room.
mean, everywhere he's gone, he's won games. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, he's not the most talented, not the most, he doesn't have the greatest arm strength. He doesn't, there's all these things you can say that he doesn't have, doesn't do. The dude wins. And like you said, he's a great leader. He's an impossible guy not to root for. He also brought us another Heisman statue. He came second. We almost were 0-3 because of him. If Joey Burrow didn't have that just ridiculous season in 2019, we would have 3 statues that were owed. So I mean, that's awesome. And what's most exciting for me about Jalen Hurts is, obviously it's his first year starting. He's got Devontae Smith, who he has a little bit of chemistry, a little bit of rapport with, should help. And Devontae Smith, I think, is a pretty darn good football player. So I mean, just all around that helps. He's got a pretty good running back in Miles Sanders. Lane Johnson returning should help. I think the defense is horrible. I think Philadelphia overall is not a very good team. The greatest thing for Jalen Hurts, the biggest blessing he has, is he plays. We were just talking about Kyler Murray playing in the hardest division in football. Jalen Hurts, without a doubt, plays in the worst division in the NFL. Honestly, if you look at that division, Dallas is going to score a lot of points. I think, but their defense. I mean, last year, even when Dak was playing, they would score 40 points and lose because their defense couldn't get anybody off the field. The Giants should be awful. The football team is a question mark. I think they could be good, but I mean, for the most part, relatively, I think that division is wide open. I'd like to see Jalen get in there and, lead them to some wins, maybe even win that division.
Yeah, I think it's going to be between them and the Cowboys, who's going to get second in that division. I don't know if that will be enough to get into the playoffs. Personally, I think that the football team is going to get the division, is going to win it probably by like a game, just because, like you said, this division it's competitive because none of them are very good, not the other way around. So hopefully Jalen does have a great year. Last year he didn't play very many games. I think he only played, 12 in the whole year?
Yeah, I don't know the exact number of games. I mean, he had 1,000 yards passing, I think, 6 touchdowns for. But he did okay, but his completion percentage is pretty darn low.
It was 52% completion percentage with 1,061 yards, 6 touchdowns, 4 picks. He did have 3 touchdowns on the ground and adding 354 yards. Again, he didn't get a whole full season, and this year he'll get an extra game. So his stats should look pretty good. I would expect him to pass for 3,000 yards, hopefully, and rush for maybe
anywhere
similar
that
numbers to Kyler.
Range, I think is fair. And then, maybe 25 touchdowns, 10 picks or so. I think that would be. If he does that, I think that's a pretty darn good season.
Yeah, and hopefully their offensive line can stay healthy. That team is really just injury riddled. I don't think they've been healthy since they won the Super Bowl. So hopefully they get back to a healthy state with the new head coach, and really just a whole new team. They've got a lot of upside there, but hopefully they can put it together. All right, the last Sunday game that we wanted to talk about was the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Mixon, it's their guy. They have P. Ryan as well, but they let Gio Bernard go because they want to focus on Mixon being their rushing and passing threat out of the backfield. Last year, Mixon did miss 10 games. He did only play 6 games, but in those 6 games, he rushed 428 yards, 3 touchdowns, and received for 138 and a touchdown.
And the year before that, he's a 1,000-yard rusher.
Yeah. He also came with a class that just was loaded at the running back position, if I remember correctly. That class also produced in the second round Dalvin Cook. Those two are very good running backs. So hopefully, I think my biggest concern with him in Cincinnati is, can they protect anything? Like, going to the draft, we talked about it all the time. Like, I think they should have taken Penei Sewell. Just protect Joe Burrow. This dude came off of a knee injury, and now all you're getting is his favorite wide receiver from college. Cool, but can he get the ball out fast enough now?
He honestly looked pretty bad in granted, it's training camp and preseason, but he did not have a good summer.
And this is his first full year back to football. Last year he took the year off for COVID and almost immediately declared for the draft as soon as he did that. So he's coming back to football, coming back to professional football, and Joe Burrow is still not getting protected, potentially to the degree that he should, because this dude, he might have an Andrew Luck type of career where he just gets beat up for the next 6 years and then he turns almost 30 and just says, you know what, my body can't take it anymore. I just don't love football like I used to.
Yeah,
I'm
I mean
out.
that's the fear. I mean, if with Joe and Samaje, because I'm like as you mentioned with Giovanni Bernard heading off to Tampa Bay, that should clear up some. I mean, I don't know how many, but definitely more carries for Samaj. Maybe he can get 100 carries or so, 110 carries. I don't know, something like that. So obviously we want to see both those guys do well. Both those guys do well. I think both are very capable of doing well. We obviously saw what they did at Oklahoma with Samaje. A lot of people don't remember, don't think about it. Samaje Perine is the leading rusher in the history of our program. I mean, so the dude obviously has some sort of. He's pretty darn good when he's out there. Um, that line, it's worrisome to say the least.
Yeah. Hopefully they can protect so that Joe Burrow can get those yards. And honestly, in regards to Samaje, I think he just got a bad scenario. He got drafted to the football team
The Redskins
when
at the time.
the Redskins at the time, and they were in shambles. I mean, really, they were not a good team. And then they got, I believe, when Ron Rivera came in as their coach, or maybe before. I don't really recall exactly how that the coaching staff there, but I'm pretty sure he was there at some point he had a new coach, and after that they didn't. Oh, Jay Gruden, they drafted him, and almost immediately Jay said, "I prefer Chris Thompson," that first season. And then the second season that they were both in there together, um, Jay Gruden said, I don't really like Chris Thompson anymore, but like P. Ryan seemed like I don't know if it's fair to say he checked out, but maybe just the confidence in playing in that system wasn't there anymore. And hopefully he can show the world what he was in college.
He showed flashes last year. I mean, I think he had I got the numbers right here. I don't remember them exactly, but I want to say he was near. Yeah, he's. 301 yards, but only on 63 carries. So, I mean, that's not a bad average. 46 long, and he also had 3 rushing touchdowns. I mean, so at the very end of the season, he kind of came on, showed his potential.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I mean, in an ideal, perfect world, we can get back to where the Bengals are running that old Sooner backfield, that 1-2 punch that's just dynamic, and that would be awesome.
Who knows? I don't think anyone believes in Zach Taylor in nationally, so maybe next year hopefully we don't, but maybe next year Cincinnati somehow attracts Lincoln and Joe Burrow gets to run Lincoln's offense with Lincoln's old running backs back there.
Lincoln. We don't know. Easy. Pump the brakes on that.
I'm just saying it's possible.
No, that's absolutely not possible. That's no.
All right. So the last game, now that we've got Brandon a little fired up there with the possibility of Lincoln leaving, is Monday Night Football. We've got Mandrews and Hollywood playing for the Ravens. Now, Mark did just get his big extension.
Yeah, he
did. The Brinks truck was backed up to his driveway. 4-year extension, $56 million. And I believe he is the tight end with the most guaranteed money, coming in a little over 60% of that. From what I read, he'll be getting a very nice check next March of $26.6 million. Because that is when his extension takes into effect. This is his last year of his rookie contract. So obviously they believe in him. He is one of Lamar's favorite targets. Last year, he had 701 yards and 7 touchdowns. It was a down year compared to his previous year, but the Ravens offense was pretty much a down year in regards to their offense.
It's the third best tight end in football, I think. I mean, there's not really a lot of argument, but
yeah. Maybe fourth. You got
Kittle,
Kelsey, Waller are kind of in the league of their own, but it's also because their offenses are very pass heavy, and this offense is not. I think so. Maybe if Mark had a different offense, it'd be a different story. But then Hollywood did have an up year last year, 769 yards and 8 touchdowns. He was beefing with Lamar a little bit there in the middle of the season because he felt like he wasn't getting utilized to his best potential, but it seems like they figured it out. Hopefully he also gets the Brinks truck backed up to his driveway here pretty soon in Baltimore, but it'll be exciting to watch those two. I hope that the Ravens offense gets back to what they were when Lamar was an MVP so that we can get one of these guys to 1,000 yards. I mean, and like you said, Mark is one of the best tight ends in the league. The dude is pretty much just an enormous wide receiver that just has the ability to block.
Great red zone body. I mean, once you get inside that 20-yard line, he's a great guy to have on your team. really reliable hands, big body, as you mentioned, catch a lot of touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have him in fantasy already, go trade for him because he's going to be catching lots of touchdowns this year.
They're obviously high.
I mean, they are. It'll be exciting to watch. I don't remember who they played, to be completely honest with you, but hopefully he has a great game on Monday.
I can't remember they got either.
Yeah. I want to say Raiders,
but I gotta look at that now. They have the Raiders on Monday night.
Oh, he's going to eat against that Raiders defense. The Raiders might be, I think they might have intentionally tanked their team over the last year.
It's also going to be cool to watch that game because it's in Vegas and it's going to be the first time we're going to see that brand new beautiful stadium, which we saw at Brown's bachelor party. It's a nice, I mean, from the outside at least, it's gorgeous. And then first time, I think it's going to be at full capacity, so I'm sure it'll be rocking it. But it's going to be cool to see that Monday night.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, like, are there a lot of visiting fans? Are there even going to be a lot of home fans? Or are we going to see random jerseys, sticking out? Because it's tourist town, pretty much.
Maybe later in the season, it'll be a lot of tourist town, and maybe I'm sure. Hold on, the Ravens always do travel well. I mean, they always have, always will. So I'm sure we'll see a fair share amount of purple. But I imagine we'll see mostly silver and black just because I think
Raiders Nation is insane.
And yeah, it's the first time Vegas in a long time, first time ever they've got a professional football team. And I think they're going to be excited and it's the Raiders. I mean, they'll be excited at least week 1. And then by about week 7 or 8, they'll lose all interest. But
yeah,
they'll start off good.
That Raiders team is going to be very bad. I believe they just cut half of their offensive line. Their defense was not great last year, and the same, like they called the Bears and said, "Hey, can we have Khalil Mack back? We made a mistake." Obviously, they said no. Why would you give him back one of the best defensive players in the league right now? Yeah, so
they're bad, but
it should be fun to watch Hollywood burn those DBs and Mark just catch every ball down the middle.
If Hollywood hits on one deep ball for a touchdown and Mark Andrews gets a touchdown, that's
a successful day there for the Sooners.
Fun Monday night there, yeah.
All right. So that's all the games that we have listed out. I'm sure we've missed a couple. I know Trey Norwood made the team for the Steelers. Trey Brown made this the Seattle Seahawks.
Steelers got a tough one this week, and I believe they're at Buffalo. I know for a fact they're playing the Bills. I don't know if it's at Buffalo or in Pittsburgh, but either way, it's going to be a tough one week 1.
They are at Buffalo, so it's going to be different. I think.
I imagine Trey Norwood probably made the team because of his versatility. Probably be a special teamer, but it would be cool to see him out there.
If I remember correctly, I think Mike said that his versatility was one of the biggest draws to him being drafted there, and he'll probably play a little bit of safety too. I mean, he's kind of a small guy, but the dude is willing to put his head in there and make the tackle.
I mean, he made the team with a 7th rounder, so he showed something. He brought something to the table. Trey Brown, as you mentioned, a 5th round pick, made the team. I don't know. That Seahawks defense was pretty bad last year. For as good as the Seahawks were, that defense was pretty darn bad, which is weird to say because, I mean, when we were in college, high school, the Legion of Boom, that defense was nasty. That was the reason they were so good. Now that it's kind of fallen off. Now it's the offense's turn, I guess. But hopefully Trey Brown can step in there and,
make some impactful plays. Yeah. They did. Their best corner from last year, Shaquille Griffin, did leave to Jacksonville. So Trey Brown does have the opportunity to play significant time there for Seattle. Then 2 big guys that recently left OU to the pros, Ramondre and Ronnie, obviously at the Patriots. From what we saw on their depth chart, neither of them are starters as of now. Ronnie is listed as the 2nd string behind Matt Judon, who is a great pass rusher. So I don't think that it's because Ronnie wasn't talented enough. I think Matt is just more experienced and better at the pro level. But I mean, he did have a great preseason. And then Ramondre, also an amazing preseason.
He had the best preseason of anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, he was 5 rushing touchdowns. And with his frame, I think he can have realistic potential this year to be like their goal line guy. Kind of like what the Giants used to do with Brandon Jacobs. It would be the Tiki Barber, and now we're at the 4 or 5 yard line. Get your big ass in here and punch it in.
Yeah,
I can see that with Ramondre happening a lot.
it's very possible, and it's always hard to predict what the New England Patriots are going to do with the running back situation. I mean, they can have one of the best running backs in the league, and they'll still play running back by committee, and it'll just be a rotation. I mean, they still have James White. They have their running back last year, their standout Damian Harrison, but I mean, Ramondre made a name for himself over these last few preseason games. So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he will get to play some games this year. Just depends on what Bill wants at this point. He's, from what I could tell, and like all the reports I read on the Patriots, they don't expect him to play week 1 or really early in the season. I guess Bill just progressively gives his rookies more time. So hopefully by the end of the season, if the Patriots are good, who knows what that team's going to be, but they'll get both of those guys get some playing time and make an impact for that team. I know Brandon probably won't like it because that means that they might be better than the Dolphins, but Rumbaugh will like it. So we'll see how that goes.
Go Fish. We forgot to mention Jordan Evans when we talked about the Bengals. Not that he's like, setting the world on fire by any means, but I mean he plays most of their games, maybe special teams, but he's out there. Good linebacker for us. Obviously still good enough to play in a NFL team. We got Jordan Phillips playing with the Cardinals, defensive tackle. He had 9 sacks 2 years ago, so I mean he's not far removed from being pretty darn good. Blake Bell is a name that hope Sooner fans love. Blake Bell. Who doesn't? He's still looking for that first career NFL touchdown, so maybe this is the year. He is playing with the Chiefs. Maybe they draw some gadget play up and he gets in there. That'd be awesome. We all want to see it.
Who's going to catch first touchdown, Creed or Blake?
I'm going to go Blake. And we got, I believe the Chiefs long snapper. His name's escaping me, but I believe he's also a Sooner.
I can't tell these long snapper names, but I mean, who knows? It's interesting to see how some of these teams have a squad of Sooners, and there's teams, for example, like the Vikings. We passed on Ronnie Perkins. We took a defensive end, outside linebacker, pass rusher, two or three picks before Ronnie Perkins was taken. Like, it's just frustrating from the Vikings perspective, but some teams just don't like Big 12 or Sooners. I don't know what it is.
Heartbreaking draft night watching 2 of my favorite players go to the stupidest team in the league.
Facts.
I hate the Patriots.
And then another big name, Trent Brown, is a 49er. He's back. I believe he was injured a little bit. Trent Williams. Sorry, Trent Williams. I believe he was hurt last year. Correct me if I'm wrong. He might have been hurt for a little bit.
I think he played a little bit because he set that – he had that huge highlight everybody sees now where I think they're playing the Cardinals, and he's the left tackle, obviously. He just runs straight out of middle linebacker and just blasts his ass. Puts him on. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. He puts his ass on. He put him on his ass.
Yeah, that was. So he created that highlight at least in San Francisco because last year was his first year as a 49er. I remember being excited about it because he had just got out of the football team. I was like, oh heck yeah, our boys got a chance to go out here and win now. And then the 49ers decided that they were going to get injured on every single possible position.
Yep.
So we won't really see the 49ers until this year because last year doesn't really count in my opinion, and now they're pretty much returning that entire team that went to the Super Bowl, and they got a pretty darn good rookie quarterback that might eventually sneak into that lineup. Yeah. I think I'll expect it to eventually.
I guess really for Trent, it's just who is he going to be protecting, Jimmy or Trey? But that team will be. Yeah, that team will be fun to watch.
Yeah. It'll start with Jimmy, and then it'll end up being a. You just said it.
Trey Lance,
yeah.
Yeah, that team will be fun to watch. Do you have any last things before we hop off here?
No, that's good luck to all of them.
Yep, definitely good luck. So yeah, that is it for this episode. Again, we really appreciate you guys for watching. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like, share the video if you liked what we put out. Again, this is going to be a weekly episode. We're going to be recapping and previewing every week's NFL games for some of these guys. Maybe we won't go into that much depth and just hit on some key games in the next few weeks or hit on the guys that are really performing. Well, just depends. If we
missed any of your favorite Sooners, whether they're starter, second string, third string, whatever the case may be, as I'm sure there's plenty of Sooners out there that we just can't think of in this 30-40 minute time slot. Just like with the Who Dat series, drop a comment and we'll be sure to talk about them.
Yep, we'll hit on those guys next week if you guys put them down in the comments. But other than that, thank you for watching again, and we'll see you next time.